Hello, it's the TBK podcast. Today you're joined by myself, LL. We got Tunde, we got David, and we have a long-awaited appearance from the one and only Richard. He's back. And today we are going to talk about Undisputed. We're not going to be talking about no arbitrators, no ducking, no dodging, no 107, what was it? 75 million, all that nonsense. We're not going to talk about none of that. Egg weights and all this other stuff. We are going to talk about Undisputed boxing, two champions who went in the ring and went toe to toe. We are going to talk about Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez. I mean, it's not Undisputed in terms of like heavyweight and stuff, but it will do, innit? We'll take it, innit? Yeah, let's go, man. Dave, you want to go first? How did you find it?
I thought it was a really good fight. I anticipated that Taylor weren't going to get everything his own way, but even with that said, he looked so much more accomplished than Ramirez, and I like Ramirez's style though. I like the fact that Taylor kind of had a fast start. Ramirez looked like a plodder, but then when he started to let his hands go, he put his hands together really well. But it's no slight on Ramirez that he lost this fight, because Taylor's skill set for his 18th professional fight to do what he's done, and the style that he done it in, I can only tip my cap to the guy, man, because he seriously showed some great ability. He did catch and shoot. He did pull counters. He walked him onto shots. I mean, he did it all. And for him to say what he said at the end of the fight, well, I mean, I watched some of the post-fight stuff, and what he said was bang on the money, which is, if not for the knockdowns, the fight would have been scored a draw. I think was crazy. Not that he won it by much, but for only the knockdowns to be the telling thing in that fight, I think was a little bit bad. And it's a bit like what happened with Canelo a few weeks back and whatever. You get these guys that fight where they are the crowd favorite. Literally, the away guy has no supporters, and it almost seems like it affects everybody: the commentators, the judges. Everyone thinks that more should have been given to the guy that lost, or the opposing fighter. I don't believe so. I think he did more than a two round job. But in the end, I was happy to see a deserving undisputed king. Yeah. All right, Rich, let's go, man. Let's hear what you got to say.
It was a great fight. I really enjoyed the fight and the action. I've been speaking a bit about how the cancellation or whatever it was with Fury Joshua, and the long drawn out saga with Spencer and Crawford has made me feel a bit despondent recently, to be honest. It has. It's made me feel a bit negative, because we all watch boxing. Boxing's my primary sport, but we watch other sports as well. Every other sport is organised. They've got governing bodies. The matches happen. I can't imagine a situation where the best team in Germany wins the league and the best team in England wins the league, and they don't play in the Champions League. But in boxing, it's at the stage where we're used to that. So sometimes, if I didn't love the sport so much, it's almost like I'd love to turn my back on it. But it's like a love-hate relationship. It's like that. Boxing's like my abusive wife who shows me no love, but I can't turn my back. You know what I mean? That's the type of relationship it is. So to tie it into what we're talking about now, as much as I can complain, when I sit and watch a fight like the fight that we all watched yesterday, it all makes it worth it. How high quality it was. It was back and forth. You had kind of swings in the action. And I think it wasn't always clear until Taylor got that second knockdown. It wasn't clear who was going to win the fight, to be honest. It could have gone either way. I think that from the middle rounds onward, Taylor started to take over. And at the end of the fight, he coasted a little bit, which was a bit dangerous, to be honest, being the away fighter and not really knowing kind of what the scorecards are. So it was a bit risky, but I can understand why he did it. I agree with Tunde that the fight wasn't a 2-round fight.
David. You mean David.
In the end, but even with it not being a 2-round fight, it was competitive. I scored the first round to Taylor, but I think I can understand it being scored to Ramirez, because there were periods where he just put it on Taylor. And Taylor's never been down, amateur or pro, but he was definitely buzzed on a few occasions in this fight. He kind of felt the pace. He was comfortable enough, but he could never kind of disrespect the effort that was put forward by Ramirez. I don't think it was as close as the Pro Grace fight. So where next? I don't think there should be a rematch immediately, even though I think a rematch is a viable fight based on how competitive that was. I don't think he should move up and fight Crawford, because I think that Crawford seems to be hitting a bit too hard, and Taylor's got everything. He's got a great chin, but I don't think you should go into a fight with Crawford depending on your chin, because I think he seems to be hitting very hard at welterweight. He stopped everyone at welterweight, and he's so accurate. I think that you have to be a little bit elusive, and I think Taylor's got everything else, but he's the smaller man compared to Crawford, even though it's not dramatically smaller. He's going to be moving up in weight, and I think Crawford's too accurate. So I think it would be great to see Ramirez against Pro Grace. Lopez is talking about moving up to 140 to fight Taylor. So I just think at the moment, as much as I complain and we all complain, there is a lot of action if you think about it. So 135, you've got an undisputed champ who just beat a legend, arguably Lomachenko. 140, you've got an undisputed champ, and we just had two bout champions battle for that right to be undisputed. And at 147, we've got a former undisputed champ. So either upwards or down, there's exciting fights. I think Lopez, again, a smaller man, size is unusual. I think I saw Tyson Fury speaking about it. Lopez is built around the waist like a heavyweight, and I think he'll move up really well. Although Taylor's camp are talking it down, I think Taylor against Teofimo is probably the fight to make. It could go either way.
Yeah. All right. Tunde, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, really sort of like shocked by the scorecards. I didn't have it as close as that. Although Ramirez in parts, did take it to Taylor, and he definitely got a good few of the rounds, but to, was it 114, 112? And that's incorporating the two knockdowns. That's a bit shocking for me. It was a close fight. It was a competitive fight, but Taylor he's just shown that he's levels. Like, he's got levels to him. The pull counters, like, even with the first knockdown was great. The second knockdown was just nasty.
It's cheeking.
Honestly, like, it was disrespectful. That's the only word that I can use for that knockdown. Where, like, and you could, and it was contemptuous as well. You just pull back, bang, uppercut. Man was on the floor, and the thing is, the second knockdown was a lot heavier than the first one. Like, he didn't even know where he was for a couple seconds.
He felt stiff as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he
was proper straight and like a log.
He looked shocked.
Yeah,
he looked shocked. He looked shocked. Like, this has never happened to me before. Like, what's going on? Yeah, there were times where, like, there were rounds where it was, a little bit close and stuff. But I just feel that Taylor has just shown what he is, and as they were saying, for him to be undisputed in his 18th professional fight, like, that's an achievement. He's got everything. As Richard was saying, he's got everything. He can fight on the inside. Like, he loves to have a war. He can fight on the outside. Him adding Ben Davidson is a great thing. He's just got him to work on a couple little bits and pieces. Not a great deal of work. Just a little bit of finesse on his jab and stuff, which was working really well. His footwork was fantastic. Like, the way, like, he would just cut off the ringing parts. It was a great fight. I mean, Ramirez made it really competitive, and I can see the argument for them having another fight. But for me, like, he's shown that he's undisputed. He's shown that he's better than all the rest. He's walked through everyone, and the fact that he's done that to Ramirez, who, that's not been done to him before. It just shows you, like, the kind of fighter that Taylor is. Like, he's a special fighter. I do agree with Rich in that him going up to 147 to face Crawford that's going to be very dicey, because Crawford does hit hard, even though he's come up in weight as well. He hits very, very hard, and he's knocked down, knocked out a good few of the opponents that he's faced. So, but then, I think in Taylor's mind, he's daring to be great. So, like, you'll only find out how good you are by fighting the very best, and nobody's fighting Crawford anyway. So You know, if that's something that happens, then I would definitely like to see it. But that's something that Crawford is a different guy. But it may be that Taylor gets him at the right time, because Crawford's not getting any younger, and he's not getting the fights that he wants. So we'll see. But yeah, all in all, it was a great fight. Great fight.
Okay. So for me personally, I had the fight. I scored it 1-1-2, 1-1-5 to Taylor. Yeah, so 112, 115 to Taylor. I like watching that fight. I mean, I don't know how everyone else had it. I thought maybe I was completely in La La Land or something, but because it's just the way how people scored the fight. Now, I know that some people are saying that there's a bit of controversy with how close the scoring was. Me personally, I don't think it was that close. Yeah, sorry. Let me take that back. I don't think it was that close. I don't think that it was a shock that the scoring was close. Yeah, without the knockdowns. Like, so how I scored it, I scored round 1 and round 2 to Taylor. I scored round 3 to Ramirez. Round 4 I scored to Taylor, but it was a swing round. It could have gone either way. Round 5 Ramirez. Round 6 and 7 that was Taylor. That was 10-8 rounds to Taylor. Round 8 I scored to Taylor. Round 9 I scored to Taylor. Round 10 I scored to Ramirez, 11 I scored Ramirez, and 12 I scored Ramirez. Now, without the knockdowns, that would have made it. Sorry, did I say one? I said 112, didn't I? Sorry, I scored it 111. Sorry, 111 Ramirez. I gave it. Sorry. So with the without the knockdowns, that 111 that would be 113, and if I scored that swing round, the 4th round to Ramirez, then that would have made it 114. So it would have been 114, one completely in La La Land or something. But because it's just the way how people scored the fight. Now, I know that some people are saying that there's a bit of controversy with how close the scoring was. Me personally, I don't think it was that close. Yeah, sorry. Let me take that back. I don't think it was that close. I don't think that it was a shock that the scoring was close. Yeah, without the knockdowns. Like, so how I scored it, I scored round 1 and round 2 to Taylor. I scored round 3 to Ramirez. Round 4 I scored to Taylor, but it was a swing round. It could have gone either way. Round 5 Ramirez. Round 6 and 7 that was Taylor. That was 10-8 rounds to Taylor. Round 8 I scored to Taylor. Round 9 I scored to Taylor. Round 10 I scored to Ramirez, 11 I scored Ramirez, and 12 I scored Ramirez. Now, without the knockdowns, that would have made it what? Sorry, did I say one? I said 112, didn't I? Sorry, I scored it 111. Sorry, 111 Ramirez. I gave it. Sorry. Yeah. So with the without the knockdowns, that 111 that would be 113, and if I scored that swing round, the 4th round to Ramirez, then that would have made it 114. So it would have been 114, 115. So it would have still been close without the knockdowns. It would have still been close by like a round or so. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Maybe there might have been another round there or two that I might have given Taylor that could have gone either way. I don't know. I thought it was a good fight. We're used to seeing Taylor do this, ain't we? Where he just starts scrapping in it. I just think like Ramirez, at one point in the fight, it's like he just stopped thinking. He stopped thinking. He stopped using his jab. He just kind of turned to type. Yeah, do you know what I mean? He was banging to the body. And that, you know, that he has got a nice left to the body, and that he actually hurt Taylor in one of the rounds. Yeah. I can't remember if it was the 3rd round or the 2nd round. I can't remember. But he hurt him with a good body shot. I feel like once Taylor dropped him, because the first knockdown was actually quite heavy as well. He actually fell on his face. And he stopped thinking. And he just decided to try and outwork Taylor. He started, you know, it was just volume. He was just going for volume. Then I think maybe from about I think it was the 10th round, he seemed to kind of get his head together again. In the 10th round. You could see he started thinking a little bit more. But when you're comparing both of the fighters, it's like, you know, Taylor was countering. Taylor was feinting a lot. You know, he, like Dave said, you know, he hit him with a pull counter that dropped him. Ramirez, there was none of that, like, to be honest. He was just kind of just plodding forward and just shooting. he was just trying to get in a firefight, basically. Like, there was no thinking. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And in a sense, like, although it was a good fight, I'm a little bit disappointed in Ramirez's performance. Like, does that make sense? Do I sound like I'm being a bit a bit of a Scrooge about this fight? Because it was an excellent fight.
A bit of a Scrooge.
You think I'm being a bit of a Scrooge?
Yeah.
You are.
Okay.
I think you are.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
Ramirez, in parts, he took it to Taylor. Like, he never backed off and whatnot. Because
but that was hard though, Tunde. That was hard. He wasn't thinking.
Yeah, but that
was instinct.
Like one of his strengths, even that you were saying to Max Kellerman, is that, you know, he's got determination, he's got drive, he's got this, he's got that, right? And Taylor said, well, you know, okay, you have that, I've got that, plus I've got a lot more. I've got skill, I've got this, I've got that. That is Ramirez.
That's
right?
how the fight played out. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. So you know, he's done what he's always done. You understand? So, you know, it's not like Taylor just completely ran through him and just dismissed him. It was a competitive fight.
Yeah, but that was game plan. That was game plan. Because at the end of the day, Ben Davidson said it, Taylor said it, they were going to use his aggression against him. So they riled him up to the point where he was going to come out that way. Do you know what I mean? He was going to forget anything to do with tactics or anything like that. He was going to work purely off of aggression. And that was and that was the ploy.
And it played into their hands.
But then you can't even say that he's played into their hands. It's more that Robert Garcia's played into their hands. He's the trainer. He's the one that should be saying, okay, look, you're getting pulled in, step back, take some time, you know, stick to the plan.
Yeah, but
if you've done that, then
Robert Garcia got emotionally involved as well, though, didn't he? Because he started talking about doing it for Mexico and your family and all this stuff.
Like,
you know what I mean?
At one point, sorry to cut you off, Dave. Even at one point, he said to Ramirez, besides the knockdowns, you've won everything. Yeah. Now, I think to myself, even if that was the case, even if he was right, why would you say that to your fighter that is in that type of fight? Yeah, do you know what I'm trying to say? You want him to go for everything, to win everything. If he is winning everything, then you don't want him to take his foot off the gas. If he's losing, you don't want to give him a false sense of security. You need to, do you understand what I mean? Like, give him a bit of a kick up the arse. But at the same time...
I think that Ramirez, I don't think he really deviated too dramatically from what he normally does, but he boxed a little bit more. Normally, he swarms constantly. Ramirez, he actually boxed a little bit, but it didn't change the way he approached the fight because he was getting countered quite heavily when he did. So I think the reason why I agreed that you were being a little bit of a Scrooge is it's easy to have the ideal, but if you get caught with an uppercut that drops you like that, or a sneaky left hook coming in, then that swarming, it's a lot harder to do when those are your consequences of doing it. It was effective, but he probably would have got stopped if he had to push forward more. I think he would have had to go out on the shield.
And also the fact is that, okay, you know, you have certain boxers or fighters who will listen to every single thing that their trainer says. You've got other ones who are more independent in their thinking and they can adjust. Yeah. Ramirez isn't like that. And he's listened to Garcia, and if anybody's at fault, it's Garcia.
Yeah. I think pre-fight antics, I think they worked for Taylor as well. I think that Taylor's got, he's a brave guy. He's got a big set of balls. He went and pushed Ramirez in front of his fans, and he never backed down. And I think there's this attitude, particularly with how Mexican fighters have been dominating British fighters recently. There's there's an attitude that, they're not very good over there. But, it's nonsense. I think a fighting man from anywhere in the world is a fighting man, and boxing's not a team sport, and that's when people get carried away. So boxing's not a team sport, it's an individual sport. So you can't be like, he's a British opponent, this is his behaviour patterns, because that's not reality. Josh Taylor will fight anywhere. He'll fight bouncers and say all sorts at nightclubs. And not that I'm criticising Billy Joel, but there's absolutely no quitting Josh Taylor. I think he would fight with a broken orbital. And I just think, not that I'd recommend that. I really don't think they should have allowed him to get in their head like that. In fight, he's an antagonist.
But Rich, if you weigh up, I think knowing that he was going to have no one there, I think that's what he had to do. Yeah, and he done it to a T.
He did really. He did. He didn't just wind up the Ramirez, who was
everyone.
Yeah, he wound up the coaches, he wound up the manager, and he wound up the Mexican fan base.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because you know, prior to those press conferences, they were like, yeah, you know, Taylor's good and that. But then after that, they were like, yeah, I want to see him get knocked out. Like I see it on the social media and that. Do you know what I mean?
But even after that, he was trying to go down the tunnel, whatever you call it. He was trying to go down, and I don't know if it was Ramirez's family or whoever it was, and they were screaming at him. They were screaming at him. They were screaming at him, telling him to get out, go back. And he's there waving, he's there holding his belts up to them and all that. They were going mad.
But I think when Ramirez, when he fought, I can never pronounce these names, so I know I'm gonna butcher this guy's name. Is it Ovazurko? I think it is. I think that's how you say his name. But when he fought him, I just thought he boxed a lot better. Like he was thinking. I like thinking fighters, and like I said, at one point he switched on again. But for a lot of that fight, like I said, he stopped thinking. And let's get it right. Although I get what you're saying, Richard, about when you get hit with a good shot and that, and do you know what I mean? But I feel like these are all this is like the makeup of like a good fighter in terms of like how far a fighter will go. Because like you said, Josh Taylor got hurt as well. He got hurt as well, but he never deviated from his game plan. Do you know what I mean? You can constantly see Josh Taylor like thinking of how he can put it all together. Do you know what I mean? You constantly saw that. A good point that I think that you made was about this whole, moving up to 147 to fight Terence Crawford. I feel like Josh Taylor's a brilliant fighter, but when he does finally take his first L, it is going to be at 147. Yeah. But even so, I'm like, why would I want to see a guy like a talented fighter move to 147 and go straight in with a killer like Crawford? Like not giving him the time to like acclimatize to the weight class or nothing. Just see him go in there. And to me, the fight, it seems like a foregone conclusion. It doesn't really seem like there's that much intrigue in it. I feel like Crawford is a favorite in that fight. Whereas what you said about Teofimo Lopez, I find that a bit more intriguing. I find it more competitive. I think Taylor's got the craftiness, but I think Teofimo, he's got the youth. He's got the, what's the word I'm looking for? Exuberance. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. To actually pull it off in that, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And he's quite big at the weight that he's at anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I think he can make 140 quite easily. He fought tonight, Zepeda. I don't think he looked that great against Lundy, to be fair. But he's a name that I've seen going about.
Who? Sorry, I missed the end of that fight. Who won it?
Zepeda won it.
He won it. Okay.
Yeah, he won it. But I just thought he just kind of just.
Lundy had him looking not so good, man.
Yeah, like Jesus.
What I saw of it, Lundy was more of a problem than he should have been for him.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah, like, but that would have been something that would have been good to see. Obviously, we have Barrios. He's going up against Tank Davis. Mm-hmm. If Barrios gets through that Tank Davis fight and beats Tank Davis, then that's also another challenge for Josh Taylor at 140. I don't know if I want to see Josh move up. And I'll be honest, I'll say it now, because I think if he moves up too soon, I think he will lose. I'll be real. I'll just keep it honest. Yeah, do you know what I mean? I just keep it honest.
I agree with you. I'm conflicted though. I mean, I still like to see the fight, and I think someone like Josh Taylor, if you were to move up and to have a competitive fight with Crawford and lose, I don't think it does any damage to his standing.
No, it doesn't. But I just, you know what it is though, Richard? I just don't think he's strong enough for 147.
Yeah.
I don't think he's strong enough. Like he has to acclimatize to the weight class.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
No, I can understand what you're saying. I think he's strong enough, but it depends on who. He's not strong enough against someone like Crawford or Spence, to be honest. I think some of the other high-level guys at 147, Furman and,
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not saying that he's an overwhelming favourite, but I think he stands a chance because he's got all of the fundamentals. Porter's a hard fight because Porter really swarms you, but I don't think that beating Furman's beyond him. I don't think he'd necessarily be overwhelming favourite or even favourite, but it's a fight I'd give him a chance in.
Yeah. Well, let's end it there then. I mean, we've been talking for a minute now. So, Scotland, has its first four belt undisputed champion. I'm sure some of the Scottish will have something to say about, you know, a lot of the UK fans who are claiming Josh Taylor. but you know, we're going to take it, and hopefully, you know what I mean, we can all celebrate his win. Yeah, you know, it's myself, LL, David, Richard, and Tunde. This is the TBK podcast. Take it easy.
And this is the TBK podcast.